Okay, that's a little more clear. But again, you mentioned that you've produced a survey manual, and you mentioned that also you have done a training survey. So you should mention before this, because it sounds like you've just produced these results at the end. So you should mention that before the data collection process, you designed a survey training manual, and you trained the surveyors. As a result, or as a dissemination, you can give the institutions these documents, these reports. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm. It is. I think it is relevant, but you need to make it more clear in terms of the actual structure of the activities. You did mention in terms of the collation and the data processing. That should be included. That doesn't make up the analysis so much. It's not really analysis phase. It's preparation to lead into the analysis. So that should have been drawn up more in the work plan. Yes, but that's the overall idea. You do a needs assessment. You prepare the instrument for survey collection. You train the people to do the survey collection. You begin to collect the data. You process the data, and from this you prepare a report, or you analyze information to prepare a report, and then you disseminate the results, and you provide final training in the workshop. Okay, that's what you came to, but just in a different way. Okay, any other questions or clarifications for group 2? Okay, let's go on to group number 1.
Good afternoon. I'm not supposed to be a presenter since I already did that. But they have made me as my punishment since I skipped the class yesterday. Okay. This is the work plan for our proposed project, Academic and Financial Monitoring Survey 2001 for Thailand. The activities are divided into 8 activities. And actually, it's one more section missing here. It should be the people who are involved, since we don't have enough space to show out in one page. So I just prepared a separate sheet. Okay, let me begin with the activities. The first 2 months, the activities are mainly in the establishing overview of the HEI, the sub-tasks, including the collection of the profile of each institute in Thailand. Next, we will make the initial contacts for each institution to get the profile of each enrollment, staff, financial data. Next, since it is a survey, we will make sampling of the whole population. So we'll do the selection of the population frame. And then we will review the existing data that we can make use of for the previous record. And the last task on the first activity is assessing the expert opinion. We will do the expert opinion brainstorming using the Delphi technique. And the first activity will last about 3 weeks. Next, in the design of the indicator, the task will be the brainstorming workshop. We will do the SWOT, that's the marketing technique that we use to develop the framework for conducting our survey. SWOT stands for the strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat of each institution. So we know how well performed each institute will be or is. The indicator identification will come out of that workshop. This activity will take 2 weeks. Next, the organization of the survey. We will have 7 separate tasks. Number 1, we will hold a consultative workshop to divide the responsibility of each activity in the project. Secondly, we will decide the form that we're going to use to make the survey. This is some of the examples that we have preliminary design. We call Form 1 is the data on student. Part 1, general information, which consists of the name of the university or institution, the number of faculty, school, or the list of the faculty and school, and the number of the major specialization, the program, and degree offer. And part 2, we have the detail of each faculty and the genders of the student. Once we have designed the form, then we will conduct or we recruit the enumerator, the people who are going to make the data collection, and then we train them. And then we pre-test the form, that form 1 I just showed you, and then we make a revision of that form. And then in order to go to the field work, we need to prepare the logistic, how they're going to get there. The fourth activity will be the data collection itself. 4.1 is collection, the data, and 4.2 is prepare the dummy table. Since we have the data, the raw data, so we need to at least summarize into the table that we can make reference to later on. Let's say this is the example of the table. 1, the number of new enrollment classified by types of institution at the level of education in academic year 2000. And then we have the name of the institution and the level. This is according to the degree offer. We have lower than bachelor's degree, graduate diploma, master degree, and doctorate program, and the enrollment in grand total for each university and institution in Thailand. And we also prepare the code book for the emulator to make use of the coding. Once we get all the questionnaire back, we will code it into the number, or let's say in order to be processed by the computer, we have to recode all the non-quantitative into the number, so we can make use of that programming. Now, the data collection will take approximately 2 weeks. No, it's 4 weeks. Yeah, it's 1 month. And after the data collection, we will going into the data processing activity, which we will, I already explained this section, the form audit, coding, and the data entry. And then the data analysis, we will make use of the statistician to do the work. And then the draft final and the report will come after that, the analysis. And the final report, reproduction, Final report revision. Yeah, the revision. Let me go into more detail on the report submission. We will have one, two, three, four. Actually, 4 separate reports. The first report will be called the inception report. It will be submitted by the end of the first month. And the next report is called interim report. We will organize the workshop called the strategic planning workshop on future of higher education in Thailand. We offer this workshop in order to make use of the expert opinion to help us to do the planning for higher education in Thailand. Actually, this is not one of the TOR, but we think that we can make some suggestion for the next phase. If we get the proposal or we get the project, then we will be the group that will do this part. And the draft final will be submitted by the end of 4th month. Right. And at the final, we also organize the workshop to get the input from the audience. And then we will revise it and then submit it the final. This is the description of the role of each professional staff for each activity. So the first person is the project team leader, will taking care of actually 6 activities, 1, 2, 3, and 6, 7, 8. And the lead consultant will be responsible for activity 1 and 2 and 6, 7, 8. Actually, 6, 7, 8 is the data collection, the data analysis and the report preparation, the writing, and the submission. So we can see that the statistician will get involved in activity 2 and up to 4 to 8. And economists will come later on, and the regional coordinator, the work will be heavily on the first 2 months in activity 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Group 1. Also, very good presentation. And there was a lot of information in this presentation that is very strong and not only reinforces your work plan, but it helps you to write the narrative for the work plan. Good graphics throughout and very clear graphics. Let's go ahead and begin. Well, actually, are there any questions before we begin? Yes? Group number 1? Okay, sorry.
Technique designed by social scientists to ask opinions of experts. So in this case, we would design questionnaire, a short questionnaire, more or less, not more than 10 questions. And then we will send it to people in the top decision-making level of the education institutes, and we will ask them these same questions. And then we compile the information, and then from the analysis, we may send them back again another set of questions based on what we have analyzed in the first stage. So it's a kind of a short way of getting to interview the top people without wasting a lot of their time, because it's done through questionnaire technique. I can't tell you offhand, but I do have a very good textbook for the Delphi technique, which I can probably just give you the title through the email connections that we have now.
This is Purnia?
basically, in a research project that we have been involved in, normally when we design the proposal and then we get to do the job, in the first months of the project, it's mostly refining what we have said in the proposal after having consulted with the client, after they have chosen us, that, do you want us to modify any aspects that we have proposed? Do you want us to add anything or reduce anything? So basically, the inception report is telling the client once again what we will do during the next phases of the project.
Yes, that's very good. Okay, and the other, yes.
Just for one thing, I think that this group it work very hard, and then they should get more and more money because I think that questionnaire that they have for the example is no need to submit in this activity, right? Am I right, or is this necessary?
You're right. In terms of the actual work plan presentation, you would refer to an appendix and put the questionnaire inside the appendix. Yes, but in terms of the overall project proposal, any reference to documents like questionnaires, even if you have a survey manual, a draft survey manual, you can include that as an appendix to the project proposal. It just makes it stronger. It shows you've already gone through the process of thinking about the work.
So many reports. Since normally each report to the payment of the contract. Otherwise, we wouldn't do anything without necessary, because otherwise the consultant will get lost in terms of balance sheet.
Yes, it does. These projects, there is a lot of reporting, though. They do require a lot of monitoring reports to see on your progress. So usually there is an inception report within the first 10 days of the project. There's 1 or 2 interim reports and then a final report. And it is true, that is how they pay you, based on the reports. Okay. Question?
Why economist on the team? Could you explain?
Economist institutions.
Because basically economists have to be involved in almost all these financial analysis aspect, because basically if you are investing in higher education, you would need to analyze the cost effectiveness of investing in such a program. So we get tagged on as a professional in almost all of the development projects.
Tacked on, that's a horrible way to put it, though. You add value to the project.
Cost effectiveness of the program and the cost benefit analysis, what economic of education.
So,
Economic of education.
yes, an education economist, yes. Okay, very good. Okay, very good presentation, too. Let's go through some of the things that you have put in. Okay, let's begin with the personnel. Okay, so you have a project team leader. Your project team leader is usually active in every phase of the project. So they're usually working from day 1 to day end of the project. So they don't really have any downtime. So you would indicate month 4 or month 5, or week 4 or week 5 as well. Again, lead consultant, you have to specify what role the consultant plays in this project. Usually also for team leader, we give them a role. Not just team leader, but team leader maybe survey design. So they have the overall management responsibility, and then they have their individual responsibility to the project. It saves money that way, too. Again, designate what the lead consultant, what the role is in the project. You have an educator. Actually, you have educators. How many? Okay, yes, there's a plural reference, so be careful with that. You have statistician, which is good. You have statistician active in almost all areas of the project, though. So maybe you could shrink that down to the database design and the information analysis. And your economist, again, the economist should only be active for evaluating the financial information. So designing the financial section of the questionnaire and analyzing the financial information that comes back. Regional coordinators, these are administrators. They fall under the jurisdiction of the team leader. So they're not really specialists to the project. If you have a survey coordinator, that is fine, who's responsible for the entire coordination survey, but not regional coordinators. You can tell it's an economics institution because they offer value for money, which is very good. The activities are very good, very clear, and also this one is also an innovative and unique way of conducting the activities to reach the goal. And it's well thought out activities. You begin by collecting information, general information on institutions, so you're profiling the higher education institutions in Thailand in this case. And then you establish initial contacts. You can describe your initial contacts as liaison with the agencies, with the funder, with the Ministry of Education, with representatives of the Higher Education Department, with some of the institutions. And then you set your population framework. Population framework's already determined for you. As part of the terms of reference, they say they will provide the list of institutions. So you don't need to indicate that. You review the existing data that's from the previous survey, and you begin an expert opinion. The expert opinion, the Delphi method for this, I'm not sure it would really be necessary. This project overall, it's doing time series comparisons between these institutions over 3 different periods of time. So there's only minor modifications to the questionnaire and to the information gathered, because otherwise you can't do the comparisons if you're changing the structure. So even if you do receive the opinions of the leaders and the representatives of these institutions, you cannot really incorporate it into the survey. Okay. All right, so indicator design. By indicator, I assume you mean your survey instrument, the actual design of the actual design of the instrument to collect the data, which would include information on the indicators that you hope to receive. And yes, the identifier of the key indicators for the project. Okay. Survey organization, you don't really need to have a consultative workshop to divide responsibilities, because as the project designers and proposal writers, you design this already. You select your personnel and you give them a role. It's the same as being an employer for an organization. You don't hire 10 people and ask them what they want to do. So you hire the people to do the roles that you've designed. Then you design the forums, the recruit enumerators and train enumerators. This is a very good point. Consider this survey's only been done once before. So the institutions have only done this survey once before. And they're asked to do it again a second time. They probably still don't have enough expertise to be able to do this by themselves. So if you provide an assistant or an enumerator to work with them, it's much more likely you're going to get accurate data. So the enumerators will help the HEIs to report accurate information. Also, you pre-test the forms, which is very important. Again, there's no point sending the instrument out which doesn't work. And then on the results of the pre-test, you've come up with the revised and final form. And the logistics preparation. This is very important. To collect information from 170 institutions is a difficult process. You want to have a very clear, logical plan for the management of the data collection. Oh, yes. I was going to... Why did you do a SWOT?
Actually, this was what we were thinking of the value for money, because for the same budget, we added this dimension of the project. So then one of the extra output from the research we would be doing is to be able to tell them strategically where the strength and the weakness and the opportunities and the threat of each particular institution. And we thought we would do this very early on because something might come up from this workshop that would be very useful for the design of the indicators, or how we extract the indicators out of the survey.
Okay, very good. Okay.
We as consultants organize it, and then we invite representatives of probably regional higher education to attend the workshop. Actually, this kind of workshop, it shouldn't be too large. I mean, no, just selective, just a very nucleus, very small core group of people who would be able to give us some really valuable input, because the SWOT analysis workshop itself costs money.
Okay, so you would do a sample SWOT for comparison purposes. Okay, that's fine. Okay, any other questions? Okay, let's go on a little. Okay, so after you prepared your information to go out to be collected, and you prepared your enumeration team, now you begin the data collection process, which, yes, you've allotted 1 month. 1 month is reasonable. And then collection and the preparation of the dummy tables. By reading just the work plan, we're unclear what the dummy tables are. So you should maybe think of a different way of expressing this. But then you begin the data processing. Not really the editing of the form editing and the coding. That should occur before, before you receive the data back. You want it already coded so it's easy to input. Okay. And then the data analysis, and then you draft final report. Between 7 and 8, though, you mentioned it later in the other sections, but you should have a workshop here. You just can't go from a draft final report to a report without some stage in between. Okay, so this sounds like you changed the title. Okay, good. The information that you included is very good, very strong. You began with some information on the questionnaire. Again, you can include this into your narrative of the work plan, some information on these sections, but also in detail, put these things into the appendices. But it's a good way of indicating that you understand the assignment. Also, the presentation of, I wouldn't call it a dummy table. It doesn't sound very good, not flattering. Proposed report format or something like that. I'm sorry? It's a technical term, but in English, dummy is not very flattering, so. Okay. Right, but maybe a proposed report format or something that sounds more formal. Okay. Okay, and then you have the report submission and the activity phase. This is quite good because it shows all the stages of the project. This is a very good graphic. And these reports, you actually do have to include a sheet like this in the competitive bidding explaining when the reports will be submitted. So you begin with your inception report, then you have an interim strategic planning workshop, and that leads to a draft final report. Then you have a workshop, and then just final, not draft final again, but the final report. Okay.
Actually, the triangle is supposed to be the schedule for submitting those reports, but the dot is actually representing the timing of the workshop. So there's actually, as you point out, there's one dot missing, which for the strategic planning workshop, there should be a dot there indicating that after we submit the interim report, we will conduct a workshop. And after we submit the draft final report, we will conduct another workshop.
Ah, very good graphic. Okay. Are there any final comments for group number 1? Okay, let me show you how we broke down our work plan when we designed our proposal. Very similar to some of yours, perhaps a little more detail in terms of the actual days and the activities and subtasks. For our personnel, we began with the transfer of knowledge trainer because this was the key component of this project. So we brought an international education specialist in to provide the transfer of knowledge. Yes? Okay, sorry. So this person was responsible for designing the training programs and to ensuring the HEIs develop the capacity to do this in the future. So he prepared things like the training manual, and also he contributed to the survey questionnaire, and also the final report to the recommendations. Then we had a transfer knowledge trainer, a domestic counterpart to the international specialist, who could help the international specialist transfer the knowledge which would work in the context of the local environment. Then we did survey methodologist international, specialist in survey design, and we also had survey methodologist and survey coordinator domestic. So the domestic survey coordinator was responsible for collecting the information in country. And then we had a senior advisor, which we shouldn't have included in this project because it's not technically right. I'll explain something about our personnel, though. When we went to bank review after leading on the proposal bid, they asked us to redesign the team. And they made very good suggestions for this. And the reason they asked us was the survey required certain information and an analysis of certain information. So rather than having generalists for survey methodologists and survey coordination, they asked us to put specialists in certain fields. So we kept the transfer of knowledge trainer and the survey designer, but we added 2 specialists. We added an academic specialist totally responsible for student and staff data, and we added an education economist or academic finance specialist, totally responsible for the finance data. So it worked out better in the end because those persons could analyze the sections of the data and provide their expertise on this. Okay. In terms of our task, we broke it down into seven overall activities, beginning with the survey methodology and design. We had a consultation and liaison with the Ministry of Education, the Higher Education Department, the World Bank, and some of the representatives from the national universities. And then we began to do a needs assessment on the previous output data from the previous survey. And then we began to design our survey instrument and outline how we're actually going to implement the survey. From this, we began a survey participant training, which included representatives from the institutions. We asked each institution to nominate one person responsible for the data collection within that HEI. And we also trained surveyors to go to these institutions to work with the representatives. Then we began the conduct of the survey. So we allowed for 26 days, which turned out to be too short. It took almost 35 days. And the coordination monitoring the survey, and then the collation of the surveys that came into us. From that, we led to initial data validation, so data quality and error investigation. Sometimes the surveyors had to go back to the institutions to recheck the information. So that took a little longer as well. And then we made an initial quality assessment. Was the data coming back overall accurate? Were there any problems? This is where some of the teams designed something that's very important, the field test. We could have reduced the amount of time spent on quality and accuracy assessment if we had done a really well-executed field test before. And then we prepared a report. We did the statistical analysis and evaluation of the trends, and then the collation or preparation of the final report. Then we presented the report results in a dissemination workshop, and we prepared the results for the workshop, and then we disseminated them to the actual HEIs. you'll see we budgeted 3 days for this. Normally, you only budget the amount of time that you spend in the workshop. The workshop was 1 day, but we had to do it in 3 different centers, so 3 days for the activity. And then the final evaluation, we took the input from the workshops. We had an evaluation from the surveyors. They completed a form on their experience in the project. And the project team also put together their input on the project, how it could be done better. So the result was that next time, the institutions or the next contracting organization has a better idea how to do this project. Okay, any questions on our work plan? Yes? Yes. The surveyors were education researchers with the National Institute of Education Development. They weren't peer No, we actually did it within the 4-month time frame. A couple of the activities went longer in days, but we adjusted some of the things down. Okay, any other questions? One of the problems with the institutions, particularly in Vietnam, and it may be the same situation in Thailand, is that they are not very willing to give financial information back to the ministry. They have their own revenue generating streams, which they are not very keen on reporting, because otherwise the ministry will reduce the amount that they budget for the institutions. So they tend to keep this information to themselves. Also, some of the information is sensitive, not only financial, but the academic information. If there's large dropout rates or heavy repetition rates, they're not keen on reporting that either. In Vietnam, everything requires a contribution. So we actually had to budget part of our project for paying the institutions to actually do this work, to actually get the information which they should have supplied, which the Minister of Education required them to supply. We had to pay them, I think it was $1 million, or between 1 million dong and 5 million dong, so between $70 and $300 based on the size of the institution. The reason the justification for this was that they had to designate personnel to work on this. So they said they're using this to pay their personnel. I'm not sure if that is actually the case. Okay. I'm just going to make some final remarks to close our workshop. These are some things to consider to make sure that after you go through the work of writing a project proposal, that it can be successful. This should be in section 6, I believe. So the most important thing in terms of competitive bidding, and also for your unsolicited proposals, is to make sure that you respond to the information of the agency. You respond to the agency's needs. For competitive bidding, they will provide a request for proposal and terms of reference on the project. So it's important to follow these closely to show that you understand their needs. A big point before you begin writing your project proposal is look at the evaluation criteria. How is the evaluation structured? What is the most points allotted for? And write these sections the strongest. So usually it's methodology and work plan is the most important, and then project team. So these are the sections you should concentrate the most on. You should also clearly demonstrate that you understand the project problem that you're trying to solve, either for non-solicited or for competitive bidding, and propose a very good, clear solution that has a result that the project issue will be solved. Very important, submit your information on time. These things have a deadline for competitive bidding. Also, for unsolicited biddings, agencies often open up competitions for project ideas, but there's also deadlines on submission for these as well. Also, when you submit, here's a small pointer we've learned from our past experience. When you submit your project proposal, you should get a receipt of the project being received by that time. I can give you a case study example. We were actually on the Academic and Financial Monitoring Survey project. At that time, our office was based in Ho Chi Minh City. The project proposal had to be submitted in Hanoi. And we were running short on time. We weren't sure if we could get the document couriered and be received in the proper amount of time. So we flew our project officer to Hanoi with the document so she could hand deliver it the next morning. So she did so, and we went to considerable expense to get her there to submit the project proposal. And the deadline was 9 o'clock that morning. She stayed until 10 past 9 after receiving her receipt to see who else had successfully completed on time. There was only 2 firms, our firm and one other firm. So of the initial 6, only 2 firms completed on time. However, because there was a problem with this, because the day afterwards, we found out, no, there's suddenly 4 firms that had completed on time. But what had happened is that the secretary allowed these people to come in almost casually, submit the proposals on the day or the day after even in one case. And they were allowed to, well, the executing agency wanted them to be considered to allow for more bids. We complained to the bank because we were very upset after spending that much money, and then they threw out the other 2 bids. So it's a good idea to actually have somebody sit in that office until the deadline closes to make sure who your competition really is. Okay. You should also make sure that you include all the information. Each of the components that we've discussed has to go into the project proposal. And again, each agency has their own guidelines for what they want in the project proposal. So you should follow these very closely to make sure you provide all of the information. Again, make sure when you design your project, it is specifically suited to the project need that you've identified from an unsolicited, or to the request for proposal that you've prepared, that you received the request for bidding on. Your cost budgets have to be reasonable. Not only can they not be too high, but they cannot be too low. So you have to be very careful in financially costing these projects. And you should also provide sufficient detail and breakdown. Again, when you prepare the financial proposal, not only do you provide an overall cost, but you have to break it down by activity. And then also within each activity, you have to specify the payments that go out. You should also make sure that the proposal is well written and is properly presented, professionally presented. Proposal is a representation of your organization. So you should present it to the highest standards possible to represent your organization well. Even if you do not win, it gives a good impression of the institution that you represent. Don't merely repeat the phrases of the RFP or the terms of reference. Again, try to be innovative, try to be unique. Think of a really good way to solve this problem that's creative but functional. And explain the management of the project. Show that you have the proper amount of administrative staff to actually support the project duties. Again, provide sufficient information in your organizational profile to demonstrate that, yes, our organization is strong enough to do this. And also demonstrate the experience and the capability you have to do this project. Okay, any final comments or suggestions or evaluations from the participants on the overall workshop? Anything you want discussed? Yes? Okay, unsolicited means that you have a project idea and you take it to an agency to receive funding from them. Competitive bidding means they have the idea and they want an organization to implement it, so that they offer it to a group of maybe 5 or 6 firms to prepare the proposal. These, what we put forward to you, competitive bidding and unsolicited, are both covered in terms of the materials here. There's some small structure changes that would be required for putting this together, but our workshop has been designed that these components go into either. They can go either into unsolicited or competitive bidding proposal. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I would like to thank you very much. You've been a very great group of participants. Your questions have been very insightful. You've been very helpful in working with me to deliver this workshop. So I'd like to congratulate you and thank you for your participation. Thank you very much. Okay, we have an announcement.
การประชุม workshop on preparation of a project proposal for bidding ซึ่งประธานในพิธีมอบประกาศนียบัตรคือดร.สุเมธ แย้มนุ่นซึ่งท่านเป็นที่ปรึกษาด้านนโยบายและแผนของทบวงมหาวิทยาลัยค่ะก่อนที่เราจะเริ่มพิธีมอบประกาศนียบัตรนะคะดิฉันขอเรียนเชิญท่านวิทยากรมิสเตอร์ Gregory Pearson กล่าวเป็นอันดับแรก May I invite Mr. Gregory Pearson to give some remarks about the workshop.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank each of the participants for working with us in this workshop. You've been an excellent group and you worked very hard on actually working to learn how to prepare a project proposal. I hope this has been very successful for you and that it will lead to many future project opportunities and project win. I wish you all the success in your project proposal writing in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pearson. ต่อไปขอเรียนเชิญผู้อำนวยการศูนย์ซิมิโอไรเฮดดร.พดุงชาติสุวรรณวงศ์ซึ่งเป็นผู้จัดการประชุมในครั้งนี้ร่วมกับทบวงมหาวิทยาลัยกล่าวสรุปเกี่ยวกับการประชุมในครั้งนี้ค่ะ
สวัสดีครับท่านที่ปรึกษาด้านนโยบายและแผนอุดมศึกษาดร.สุเมธ แย้มนุ่น Mr. Gregory Pearson ท่านผู้เข้าร่วมประชุมทุกท่านก่อนอื่นในนามของผู้จัดการประชุมครั้งนี้ผมขอบพระคุณท่านที่ปรึกษาที่กรุณาสละเวลาอันมีค่ามาเป็นประธานในพิธีแจกประกาศนียบัตรให้แก่ผู้เข้าร่วมการประชุมครั้งนี้ศูนย์ภูมิภาคการรวมศึกษาและการพัฒนาซิมิโอไรเฮดและทบวงมหาวิทยาลัยได้ร่วมกันจัดการประชุม Workshop on Preparation of a Project Proposal for Bidding รุ่นที่ 2 ตั้งแต่วันที่ 27 มิถุนายนและสิ้นสุดในวันนี้วัตถุประสงค์ของการประชุมคือเพื่อเพิ่มพูนความรู้ความเข้าใจและทักษะในการเขียน Project Proposal สำหรับการประมูลแข่งขันนานาชาติโดยเน้นการฝึกปฏิบัติเป็นหลักมีผู้เข้าร่วมประชุมเชิงปฏิบัติการจำนวน30ท่านซึ่งเป็นอาจารย์ข้าราชการและเจ้าหน้าที่จากมหาวิทยาลัยของรัฐมหาวิทยาลัยในกำกับของรัฐสำนักงานปลัดทบวงมหาวิทยาลัยศูนย์ซิมิโอไรเฮดและซีเมสสำหรับวิทยากรของการประชุมครั้งนี้คือมิสเตอร์ Gregory Pearson ซึ่งเป็นผู้อำนวยการของบริษัท Strategic Consulting Group ของประเทศแคนาดาบัดนี้การประชุมได้สิ้นสุดลงและประสบความสำเร็จตามวัตถุประสงค์ที่ตั้งไว้ผมขอถือโอกาสนี้ในนามของศูนย์ซิมิโอไรเฮดขอบคุณทบวงมหาวิทยาลัยโดยเฉพาะกองวิเทศสัมพันธ์ที่ให้โอกาสศูนย์ได้จัดการประชุมครั้งนี้ร่วมกันและหวังว่าคงจะได้มีโอกาสทำงานร่วมกันอีกต่อไปในอนาคตและขอบคุณวิทยากรมิสเตอร์ Gregory Pearson ที่ดำเนินการประชุมอย่างมีประสิทธิภาพและผู้เข้าร่วมประชุมส่วนใหญ่ มีความพึงพอใจและได้รับประโยชน์จากการเข้าร่วมการประชุมและหวังว่าจะได้นำความรู้ความเข้าใจและทักษะในการเขียน Project Proposal ไปใช้ในโอกาสต่อไป Mr. Gregory Pearson, on behalf of the organizers of this workshop, I wish to express our sincere thanks to you for conducting the workshop with efficiency and quality. We appreciate your dedication and the work well done. 6 consecutive days of hard work make you tired, we are sure. But now you deserve a good rest. Thank you very much. สำหรับผู้ร่วมประชุมทุกท่านครับผมขอขอบพระคุณที่กรุณาสละเวลามาร่วมประชุมครั้งนี้ถึงแม้วันนี้เป็นวันเสาร์ซึ่งเป็นวันสำหรับการพักผ่อนนะครับและได้ให้ความสนใจอย่างดียิ่งตลอดเวลาของการประชุม3วันที่ผ่านมาผมถือโอกาสนี้ขอขอบคุณอย่างยิ่งต่อศูนย์เทคโนโลยีทางการศึกษาแห่งจุฬาลงกรณ์มหาวิทยาลัยที่ได้กรุณาบันทึกวิดีทัศน์ของการประชุมครั้งนี้ด้วยฝีมือชั้นเยี่ยมทั้งนี้เพื่อการเผยแพร่ความรู้ในเรื่องนี้แก่ผู้สนใจต่อไปท่านประธานที่เคารพครับบัดนี้ได้เวลาเป็นมงคลแล้วผมขอเรียนเชิญท่านประธานโปรดมอบประกาศนียบัตรให้แก่ผู้เข้าร่วมประชุมทุกท่านต่อไปขอเรียนเชิญครับ
คุณอารยาเลปนานนท์มหาวิทยาลัยศิลปากรค่ะผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดร.อรชุน ชัยเสนะมหาวิทยาลัยเทคโนโลยีสุรนารีคุณชนฤดีเทพน้ำทิพย์ทบวงมหาวิทยาลัยมิสแจ็คเกอรีนเบิร์กซิมิโอไรเฮดคุณกาญจนาพรชมดาวมหาวิทยาลัยศิลปากรดร.คณิษฐาหานสูงเนินมหาวิทยาลัยสงขลานครินทร์คุณลัคนาดอกเขียวทบวงมหาวิทยาลัยผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์นิทัศน์กฤษณจินดาสถาบันเทคโนโลยีพระจอมเกล้าเจ้าคุณทหารราชกระบังผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดร.อรพันธ์ศรีสวรักษ์มหาวิทยาลัยสุโขทัยธรรมาธิราชผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์พานิชนัทสิริพานิชสถาบันบัณฑิตพัฒนาบริหารศาสตร์คุณปฏิมาชัยบุญทันมหาวิทยาลัยอุบลราชธานีคุณพัทธิราไม้สันเทียมหาวิทยาลัยอุบลราชธานีคุณปารินาประยุกต์วงศ์ซิมิโอเซคเทเรียผู้ช่วยศาสตราจารย์ดร.สิริวัลย์ศิราพัชรนันท์จุฬาลงกรณ์มหาวิทยาลัย คุณสมพงษ์วัฒนภาคมหาวิทยาลัยศรีนครินทรวิโรธคุณสุกัญญาพรหมพลมหาวิทยาลัยสุโขทัยธรรมาธิราชมิสซูซานเอดเลอร์ชอร์ซิมิโอไรเฮดอาจารย์ธนะนานครมหาวิทยาลัยวลัยลักษณ์รองศาสตราจารย์ดร.อุดมศักดิ์ศิลป์ประชาวงศ์สถาบันบัณฑิตพัฒนาบริหารศาสตร์คุณวัชรีพรสุโรจนานนท์ซิมิโอไรเฮดโอกาสนี้ขอเรียนเชิญท่านประธานกล่าวให้โอวาทและกล่าวปิดการประชุมค่ะ
ท่านผู้อำนวยการศูนย์ซิมิโอไรเฮดดร.ประดุงชาติสุวรรณวงศ์ท่านวิทยากรเกเกอริเพียร์สันผู้เข้าร่วมประชุมทุกท่านครับวันนี้ผมรู้สึกเป็นเกียรติอย่างยิ่งนะครับที่ได้มีส่วนร่วมในการฝึกอบรมที่น่าสนใจการฝึกอบรมครั้งนี้ผมเสียดายที่ไม่มีโอกาสมาร่วมฝึกอบรมจริงอยากเข้ามาเพราะมีความรู้สึกว่าผมเองทำงานอยู่ที่ตะบวงมหาวิทยาลัยเนี่ยหน้าที่หลักอันหนึ่งก็คือการเขียน term of reference แต่ไม่เคยเขียน proposal สำหรับ competitive bidding แต่มีโอกาสได้อ่าน competitive bidding จากหลายๆแหล่งเข้ามามีความรู้สึกว่าคนที่เขียน competitive bidding proposal เข้ามานั้นเนี่ยมีความหลากหลายเหลือเกินแต่มันสามารถแยกแยะได้ว่า proposal อันนี้เนี่ยรู้สึกดีนะดูแล้วเนี่ยเขาเข้าใจ term of reference ที่เราเขียนแต่บางฉบับนั้นเนี่ยเกือบจะโยนทิ้งได้เลยนั้นผมมีความรู้สึกว่าการเตรียม proposal สำหรับ competitive bidding เนี่ยมันเป็นศาสตร์นะที่จะต้องฝึกอบรมกันมันมีระบบมันมีขั้นตอนของมันผมลองดูที่ Gregory Pearson เตรียมมาเป็นวิทยากรฝึกอบรมคราวนี้เนี่ยน่าสนใจหลายเรื่องผมจะต้องกลับไปดูตัววิดีโอที่ทางอาจารย์ประดุงชาติบันทึกไว้ก็เท่าที่ฟังท่านอาจารย์ประดุงชาติรายงานก็มีความเข้าใจนะครับว่าทุกท่านที่มาในวันนี้มีความพยายามอย่างเต็มที่จะเรียนรู้ศาสตร์เกี่ยวกับการเสนอการทำ successful competitive bidding proposal และคิดว่าศาสตร์นั้นคงจะติดตัวท่านไปถึงแม้ว่าโครงการนี้เนี่ยจะได้เงินซัพพอร์ตจากเงินของทบวงมหาวิทยาลัยในโครงการที่อยากให้ประเทศไทยนั้นเป็นศูนย์กลางในการจัดประชุมสัมมนานานาชาติแต่จริงๆแล้วการฝึกอบรมครั้งนี้เนี่ยมันจะช่วยให้เราสามารถกลับไปบุกเบิกภารกิจอันใหญ่หลวงของมหาวิทยาลัยซึ่งในที่สุดแล้วเนี่ยมันทิ้งไปไม่ได้ก็คือจะต้องไปแข่งขันเพื่อจะ draw ไม่ว่าจะเป็นงบประมาณเงินสนับสนุนการวิจัยสนับสนุนโครงการต่างๆทั้งในประเทศและต่างประเทศกลับไปที่มหาวิทยาลัยของท่านและแนวโน้มเรื่องนี้เป็นเรื่องใหญ่ไม่ใช่หมายความว่ารัฐบาลจะลดการจัดสรรงบประมาณสนับสนุนมหาวิทยาลัยแต่เป็นการสร้างขีดความสามารถของแต่ละสถาบัน มหาลัยหลายแห่งที่มีอย่างกับจุฬายูนิเซิร์ชผมดู proposal ของจุฬายูนิเซิร์ชก็เห็นชัดเจนว่าเขาได้มีการฝึกฝนสร้างทักษะตรงนี้มาเมื่อเทียบกับมหาลัยอื่นที่ส่งมาแล้วก็มีความรู้สึกว่ามันต่างกันเยอะเพราะนั้นในสิ่งที่เราได้รับการอบรมไปวันนี้เนี่ยถ้าสามารถที่จะนำไปเผยแพร่แล้วก็ถือเป็นจุดชนวนเล็กๆซึ่งในที่สุดจะต้องขยายต่อไปผมคิดว่าโครงการอย่างนี้น่าจะทำต่อขยายวงให้กว้างมหาวิทยาลัยหนึ่งอาจจะมีหลายคณะทุกคณะน่าจะมีขีดความสามารถเรื่องนี้ทัดเทียมกันและในที่สุดเราจะได้ proposal ที่ดีแข่งขันได้ทั้งในประเทศและต่างประเทศสุดท้ายนี้ผมขอขอบคุณทางซีเมลไรเฮดท่านผู้อำนวยการดร.ประดุงชาติครับเกรกอรี เพียร์สันที่เสียสละเวลามาในช่วงนี้และขอขอบคุณทุกท่านที่ให้ความสำคัญสนใจและตั้งใจฝึกอบรมครั้งนี้คิดว่าผลงานที่ท่านได้ไปในวันนี้จะเป็นประโยชน์กับมหาวิทยาลัยของท่านและระบบอุดมศึกษาโดยรวมครับขอบพระคุณครับ
Now I would like to invite Dr. Sumet Yamnun to present a token of appreciation to our resource person, Mr. Gregory Pearson. Please. และขอเชิญท่านอาจารย์พดุงชาติมอบของที่ระลึกให้แก่ท่านประธานค่ะในนามของผู้จัดการประชุมในครั้งนี้นะคะดิฉันใคร่ขอขอบคุณผู้เข้าร่วมการประชุมทุกท่านที่ได้ให้ความร่วมมือเป็นอย่างดียิ่งขอขอบคุณและสวัสดีค่ะ